What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Horror Heads podcast. I am Rich Mallery here with my co-host Jerry Lourenco.
Fucking going up tonight, Rich.
Hell yeah! You could follow us on Instagram at horrorheadspodcast. Email us your love and hate to horrorheadspodcast@gmail.com. If you are listening to this podcast on one of the many services we are on, you could also watch this on YouTube. If you want to see all the debauchery that goes down once we start pouring some drinks. Let's see. Subscribe, like, do all the things. If you are watching on YouTube, one thing you will see is that Jerry and I are not alone, and we do have a special guest here tonight. We have Rudy, the host of Drinks and a Movie podcast, is here, so really excited to talk to him. For those of you who can't see, Rudy is sitting in front of many, many bottles of whiskey and is making me very thirsty. So, Rudy, how's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, no, excited to have you on. We were a guest on your podcast recently, and that was a blast. And then we're definitely stoked that you want to come on to ours. So, for those of you who don't know you and have not checked out your podcast yet, so give us the gist of it. What is Drinks and a Movie podcast, other than being the best name for a podcast I think I've ever heard?
Hell yes.
So tell what kinds of things do you talk
about? I'll give you $1,000 right now for that name.
No, thanks for that. No, I started the podcast in about 2019, I think, and as the name suggests, it's just kind of reviewing and talking about booze and movies, all genres, not limited to one genre. I talk about everything, and as far as booze goes, even, talking rum, mezcal, tequila, craft beer, mostly whiskey, bourbon, and rye for me. But yeah, so that's kind of the gist of it. Recently, I'd just been doing a series where I watched all the 007 films for the first time. So I just wrapped that up, 27 movies.
Holy shit. How many episodes did that take you to get through all 27?
27. I did one movie per episode. So it was months. I started in like March and I did the last movie in like late May, but that episode just came out about a week ago. So I was banging one out almost every night. But it was fun. Yeah.
That is fun. So what made you kind of decide to kind of get into podcasting?
Yeah, I had a roommate a few years ago who was in the podcast. I didn't listen to anything at that time. This is probably 2018. And he wanted to do a show on Twilight Zone where we watched all the original episodes. And so each episode would be an episode of the podcast where we just kind of talk about the episode. And the twist I brought to it, that was when I like started getting into collecting whiskey and stuff. So I was like, hey, let's drink while we talk about it. Like I'll talk about, Jameson, IPA, cask, whatever, and then we'll get into the episode. And we only did like 8 episodes, and my friend just kind of fell off and wasn't down for it anymore. But I thought it was a lot of fun and cool. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to take that concept and now talk about movies and do it myself.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, the reason why Jerry and I got into it was we just wanted an excuse to drink, and we thought this legitimized drinking. We're doing it for the podcast. We're not alcoholics, and it's
exactly.
This is our job. Like we're doing this because we have no choice. Like, I don't want to get hammered on a Monday night.
On a Monday,
I got no choice. So before we kind of get to know you a little bit more, we're going to talk about 2 movies tonight. We're going to talk about 2 Argento films. We're going to talk about the 1977 Suspiria, which I'm very excited to talk about because that's definitely in my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. It's probably like my number 2 favorite horror movie of all time, and then we were looking for a reason to talk about it. And then we're going to talk about Deep Red, which came out in 1975, which I've seen in the past, but I've only seen once, and it's been a long time, so I did not remember anything about it. So it's cool that we're going to talk about that one. So we're going to get into all that in a minute. So one thing really quick that Jerry just mentioned, I didn't listen to this, but he was telling me that on a recent episode, you did a hot take on the new 28 Years Later, which I haven't seen yet. I haven't really heard too much about it because I'm kind of like closing my ears when it comes up because I don't want to spoil it because I think I'm going to go see it on Thursday. But what'd you think about it? Like,
Yeah, I thought it was okay. It just wasn't what I was expecting. It was a lot different. They made some bold editing choices in it that I don't quite, that kind of pulled me out of the movie. I'm trying to be very vague. And then the ending just took a really weird turn. I'll not say anything more about
man.
that. Yeah, and yeah, that's you hear a lot of people talking about that part too. But yeah, it was just a lot different than I thought it was gonna be. So I just walked away like not really knowing how to feel about it. I was, oh, that was kind of just an odd movie. It's more of like an art film almost, I dare say. And at least I know from some of the other Danny Boyle films I've seen, it's not like he's a big horror guy or even like a
Right.
fan of the zombie genre. So the fact that he's already delved into this and doing it again, I can understand why they were taking it a different direction. So I can appreciate it on that level. Like, yeah, why are we just gonna like make the movie again that was already great and stood the test of time? But yeah, just weird kind of story and editing choices. And my friend Carissa and I, the one that did that podcast with me, we talked about how we're gonna watch it again in 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks and probably do a review now that we can go in kind of already knowing what it is and see if maybe that changes the perspective. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's just my quick kind of vague thoughts on it. Did you both
Yeah.
not see it yet? Or
No,
Yeah, we
no,
both
not
didn't see
yet.
it. Yeah.
okay.
To be honest, I don't have any expectations whatsoever on it other than what I saw in the trailer. And what I liked about the trailer is that it looks like a very dark, gritty film. So it seems interesting to me, but I'm gonna go in with the open mind to not try to compare it to the original. I wasn't a fan of the second one, 28 Weeks Later, at all. I thought
Hmm.
that was kind of goofy and just poorly written. It had some cool parts,
Hmm.
but the whole movie didn't make a ton of sense to me. But the first one, yeah, I remember seeing that in the theater for the first time, and it blew my mind because I'd never seen anything like that before. So,
Yeah.
um,
I will say real quick on the tip of the trailer, because the trailer for 28 years, that first one they dropped was awesome. I like for me, that goes in the list of I think some of the best trailers ever.
Wow.
I dare say the trailer was better than the movie.
Oh shit.
And that is a thing. Like, don't even from the trailer perspective, it's not kind of what the trailer promises you.
Mm.
So don't even expect that much. But I think that'll help. Going in super open-minded and like no expectations is the way to go.
Yeah, I
so
think
when
getting
we
past
were,
like that hype,
yeah.
and then it
Hmm.
like waiting all this time, it kind of gets a little built up in your head. So I think when you rewatch it,
Yeah.
it's probably definitely going to hit different. But
Hmm.
the name of your episode was it worth the 28-year wait? So do you just want to put a period on it and just tell the world right now, was it worth, in your opinion, the wait?
For me, no.
Damn.
No. For me, no.
So when we were on your show, we talked about Alice, Sweet Alice, and then
Mhm.
tonight you picked Deep Red for us to talk about, which is another 70s film. And we picked Jerry and I picked Suspiria just because that was the other Argento film that I felt like I really wanted to talk about. Is 70s, do you like, is that just a genre of horror films that you really gravitate towards, or just happen to be these two movies happen to take be shot around that time?
I feel like I have been gravitating more towards that era. Yeah, I mean, I like that genre, and just that era, even in just regular cinema. I've been trying to go back and watch more 70s movies, and the past year I was really into trying to get through more Argento films, more Mario Bava from that time frame,
Mm.
just more giallo and in general. And Deep Red I got to see in theaters at a midnight screening twice, like fairly right before you guys were on my show. I think I remember mentioning it, and I remember in that episode we were talking about possibly doing this, so that's why that was my pick. Because I remember, yeah, one of you saying that you hadn't seen Deep Red in a long time, and I think that was you, Rich, because you just
Yeah.
brought that up again. So I thought it'd be cool to chat about.
Cool. So just so we get to know you a little bit more, don't think too hard about this, but top five horror films that come to your mind, your top favorites. And again,
Mm.
like don't think too hard about it. Just the top five you're
Yeah.
thinking right now.
All right, Black Christmas,
Oh
John
shit.
Carpenter's The Thing, um, Night of the Living Dead. Oh shit, I got to put Halloween in there, just the whole fucking thing. I'm at four right now. Oh
Yeah,
shit.
four.
You know, yeah, I'll just throw 28 Days Later in there
Oh,
because
nice.
that's a movie that I found that when I first saw it, I didn't think it was like one of my favorites. I'm like, "Yeah, this is good. I like it," but it's one of the few movies that I watch every single year. Like for sure, once a year that movie's coming on. So I feel like it deserves a spot in the top grouping.
If it's in the rotation, yeah, and like our top fives probably rotate all the time, right? So this is
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
just
yeah.
the top five right now. Awesome. So we're gonna get to know you a little bit more. We're gonna ask you some more questions. I do want to get to the drinking because it is a
Mm,
Monday night, and that's what we're gonna do.
yeah.
So Rudy was kind enough to send Jerry and I some samples of a specific bourbon that we're all gonna taste together. So you want to tell us like what you sent us?
Yeah, so this is the Maker's Mark 2025 special release. This is the Keeper's release. I thought about you guys because I happened to see this at the store, and when you guys were on my show, we did the 2024 version, the Heart release. So I immediately thought, I was like, all right, if I'm gonna come on the show, I got to send you guys
Hell
a
yes.
taster of this so we can chat about it again. I did open it already. I already forgot like what my take on it was, so this might as well be the first time I'm trying it.
All right, so you're getting ready to
Um,
pour right now, and I like that someone's in a liquor store, Rich, and they're thinking about us like that. I think we reached it. We should just stop right now. Stop the podcast. We're done. We hit the epitome that we wanted to hit, but that's
I mean, I
amazing.
think most of America is thinking about us when they're in liquor stores. So, you're welcome. You're welcome, America. So yeah, so we're gonna sip this. Rudy gave us enough for a drink, and again, we're super happy to try this. For my second bourbon tonight, I'm not sure if I drank this on the show, but it's what I had. I'm gonna drink some Buffalo Trace
Oh, that's
after
a
we
good
drink
one.
this. So that's what I got for later. But first, let's try this now.
Yeah, I got some regular makers
Oh,
for
regular
later.
makers,
Yeah,
nice.
just so it's not a huge jump.
So Rudy's drinking it neat. Jerry's drinking it neat. I did pour mine over ice because I'm already sweating and it's really hot in Los Angeles. So I'm gonna have maybe a different perspective. But let's cheers
Wow.
and let's
Cheers.
sip on some of this.
Wow.
Wow. So this is 109 proof, but
You
it doesn't
taste
have
it.
that burn. It's full of flavor, but it's
Yeah.
not like harsh at all. It's smooth as
Yeah, it
hell.
really it really feels like it's gonna hit you right in the back of the throat, but then all of a sudden just glides
Yeah.
right in. But the smell is so potent and it's so alcohol forward, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden it hits you and it's like sweet. I'm like, what am I getting here? That is, I mean, this is fantastic. It definitely has a nice, sweet, maybe nutty kind of taste to it. I'm feeling this. This is fantastic. We have any tasting notes on this, Rudy? What's it telling us about it?
Yeah, I'm struggling to like pick up on a menu. I feel like a little bit of cocoa, definitely like
Mm,
the toasted oak. So
there's something toasted in
the
there.
state, yeah, the stave profile on this one is 10 virgin toasted American oak staves, and I definitely get that. Like I can't explain the flavor. It's almost like a burnt marshmallow is like a common
Yeah, I
um
get that. Yeah,
note
I'm
for
getting that.
that. And I'd agree with that. Like a little burnt marshmallow, a little cocoa, definitely like that sweet oak. And it's a little bitter for me on the front, but as you guys said, it does go down smooth and
Yeah,
I
that's
feel it
nice.
does dissipate a little quick for me. Like the finish isn't that
Really,
long.
really quick.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
and I love to hear people, comment on when it's a higher proof and being able to say like it's smooth and all that. That's definitely a sign of a really good bourbon. And hopefully anyone listening out there, this will make you less afraid to kind of venture into the more overproof offerings.
and
I
just
will
go
say
for it.
though, it is a little scary though because this is deceptively smooth, and I
Right.
feel like I could like guzzle this right now and be
Mm.
hammered in a matter of minutes. So that's the one thing is because again, it doesn't taste high proof.
Yeah.
It goes down very easy and very light, which is just shocking to me. So I could see
Mhm.
myself having to be careful and making sure I'm only going to drink like two of these before I move to something else because
Yeah.
I will finish those two within 10 minutes as
Very
this
true.
one's already almost done.
I could imagine on ice it's probably super super smooth,
Yeah,
and
exactly. It's easy to drink. Wow,
yeah,
it's
I think I'm definitely confusing the toasted for nuttiness. Now that I know it's toasted, I think that's kind of
That
taking now it's in my head. It's taking over more than
yeah.
the nuttiness is. So I
Well,
think I think maybe
I
that's what
for
I tasted.
yeah, I forgot the comment. Like I thought the nuttiness comment was like really good. I think that's a really good. take. Like I'm not, because for me, like I don't eat nuts generally. Like that's
Mm.
not my thing, but it's a very common note in like Jim Beam products like Knob Creeks, and I'm a big fan up here. So I do kind of get what you're saying if I compare it to that. I think that's a good note.
So, Rudy, on a
Yeah.
typical podcast episode, how many drinks would you say you go through?
Man, it depends who I'm with and what we're talking about. Sometimes I'll just finish the one pour and that'll be it. But if I'm talking to a friend that's also into whiskey as much as I am, like we'll just keep hitting the bottle. And sometimes I'll even bring like three bottles and we'll just keep going. Maybe we'll like feature one, but I'll have like two other options for us to just kind of crush as we go. So it always varies. I've definitely been in situations where I don't know if I told you guys this when you were on my show, but the very first episode I ever did was on the movie Night of the Hunter from 1955
Yeah.
with a bartender coworker of mine. And we got so drunk. We talked about the movie for 4 hours. We
Oh
finished
my.
an entire bottle of Michter's Rye. It was bad. And then I didn't realize till after, like I had to sleep at her place because I was toast, obviously. And I realized like when I went to hit stop that the SD card ran out on the recorder like an hour and a half in. So that was the first episode. So I've learned since then to be a little more careful. Like we had to redo it, which wasn't the worst thing, but
You can't
I,
recreate that magic though.
yeah.
just checking to make sure we are recording now. Okay, we are. Good. It's
Yeah.
always a fear of mine is that we'll
Yeah.
get like halfway through and then I'll be
It's
like, oh
like
shit,
we didn't hit
I never hit
record.
the record button.
I,
Because you know what? We're not gonna do this again.
I, I just want to say something. This might even be like surprising to Rich, but Rudy, on the last episode that we recorded, we introduced a new drinking game, and this game hit way too hard, and I wasn't paying attention. And after I took my sips, maybe Rich was talking. A couple seconds later, it's my turn to talk, and I go to open my mouth, and words just start coming out, but I had no idea what the next word was. I was so lost in my thoughts, and I'm surprised it didn't come through on the recording because I'm just like talking about nonsense for like probably
Yeah.
5 seconds, what felt like an eternity, and then all of a sudden it clicked in. I was like, oh yeah, this is what I was gonna say. But definitely when you're in a live situation and you're drinking kind of quick, it could catch up to you. So
Oh yeah.
and it happens to the best of us. It definitely happened to me last time,
You know
and
what?
Rich, you didn't
I'm
even
used
notice,
to you.
dude, because
I'm used to you talking nonsense, so to me it's like nothing new that you're just babbling. So I'm
I was
completely
like,
no big
I'm
deal.
sitting
It's
there
like, oh, here we go
talking.
again.
I'm like looking at myself on the camera. I'm like, what am I even saying right now? I'm like, what are these words coming out? But I got it together, and I think that was like a wake up call, and I snapped to it, and we finished up the episode. But it just got a little too brutal.
All right, so
Which episode
before
was that? Sorry.
Final Destination, we just
Yes,
did.
Okay, all right.
destination.
I'll make sure I check that out.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. So before things do go off the rails, because I am drinking this really quick, and I do want to know what I'm talking about, at least for part of this episode. Once we get to the hour mark, who gives a shit? We're gonna talk about Deep Red, and we're gonna talk about
Yeah.
Suspiria. Let's do these in the order they were released. So let's start with Deep Red from 1975. I will give the plot really quick. According to IMDb, the plot is a jazz pianist and a wisecracking journalist are pulled into a complex web of mystery after the former, meaning the pianist, witnesses the brutal murder of a psychic. Now, the movie is a lot more complex than that, but basically, what happens is a psychic identifies. They're giving like a presentation, and they realize that there's a killer in the audience, but they can't pinpoint who it is. That killer ends up killing the psychic. A jazz pianist just happens to be on the street down below, hears some screaming, looks up and sees a woman get her head smashed through a window. He goes up to investigate and then gets drawn into this mystery to kind of figure out who killed her and why. And that is the plot really quick. So yes, I have seen. So the thing about Argento movies that makes it a little difficult to talk about is a lot of them have multiple different versions, and they were just edited differently for different territories. Like the version I'd seen of this previously was the director's cut, which is really long. So I think we all watched the I believe it's called the uncensored
Uncensored.
cut,
Yes,
which
hopefully.
I saw on Pluto, which did not do me any favors because there was an ad break every 4.5 minutes, and this hour and 45 minute movie took 3 hours to get through, so it was a little challenging. One thing I will say, I've realized that I'm probably not as big as an Argento fan as I thought I was because I watched a bunch of other movies too of his just to kind of prep for this episode. While I'm a huge fan of Suspiria, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this one after watching it. And I can kind of see why people would like it. I can kind of see why it's a classic, but it just didn't really hit for me. I just was kind of bored. And again, I will caveat that saying that I didn't watch it straight through. There were a lot of ad breaks, so I do need to give it another chance at some point. But Rudy, like I know you picked this movie. I know you want to talk about it, so I would love to kind of hear like some of the things that I might be missing and like why you like it so much.
Yeah, honestly, for me, like I can't even remember the first time I saw it, but I also thought it was just kind of fine. And it's been upon the repeat viewings, and especially seeing it in the theater, which is always a different experience. And luckily, I was able to do that twice this past year. It just really grew on me, and I really like, especially in this movie, that kind of trope you see in these like giallo films of the kind of random guy that witnesses a murder and the cops don't do shit, but now he's kind of the detective, even though he's not in the police force or anything. And yeah, I just really like it. And from the just kind of stylistic approach of it, like I like that it's quite different from Suspiria, where Suspiria has like that really wild color palette and fantasy that I love. This one is a little more neutral, but Argento just really knows how to move the camera and combine like dolly moves with zooms and just that aesthetic. I really love. And the score by Goblin, I think is another banger. It gets super intense in moments. And yeah, I mean, I like the way the murders kind of unfold and the way the mystery unfolds and then, kind of slowly solving it over time. I do like Gianna, the journalist character that kind of teams up with David Hemmings. I forgot, I think his name's Marcus in the movie.
Marcus, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have any deep insight into it, why I really like this one. I just kind of, I don't know. It just lands for me, especially after seeing more Jali.
Yeah, I will say the cinematography is really good. It's very interesting. There's like again, it's very Argento and like you said, it's different than Suspiria, but it's you could tell they're done by the same filmmaker, just like how like you said, the camera tricks and the way it's kind of like moving a lot, and there's these really wide shots and like you really get to kind of see a lot of what's going on. I think, and I like the trope too of like you said, this normal person that gets pulled into this mystery because they're just interested and they become a part of it. And again, the cops always are fuck ups and don't give a shit, like which I really like. I think the issue I had with the movie that where it wasn't like entertaining for me was it took a long time to get anywhere. And that's just kind of typical of a lot of 70s movies, right? Like they start out really interesting and then like there's kind of like this hour 45 minutes where not a lot is happening or it's like very like repetitive where he's having a lot of
Mhm.
these kind of almost throwaway conversations with people and maybe I'm missing something and there's like little clues there, but a lot of the things kind of seem like okay, they could have cut that scene, they could have cut that scene. Um, before you finally get to like everything kind of wrapping up almost very neatly in the end. But I also do understand that that's kind of how these movies are, right? Like that's a giallo, like that's how they are. So it's if you're a fan of that, I think that delivers. I think maybe I'm just not as big of a fan of that. I will say that some of the kills, and there aren't, I wish there were more kills, but I know that's not this type of
Mhm.
movie. They're great. Like the kills are really good and brutal, and people get really fucked up in it. Like that woman that gets like drowned in the scalding hot bathtub is
Oof.
just really
Mhm.
sick. So like it had these moments that, but I kind of needed more meat in the middle, I guess for me. Jerry, I just talked for a while. How about you? How'd you
No,
feel?
it's all right, man. No, I'm kind of like I'm in between probably like you and Rudy. I think, the open of this film, it's pretty incredible. I mean, just the coloring and everything. Like, oh, this is Argento, and it's really what I like about giallo films. Always like these sensational kills and these vibrant, like elaborate kills. And I think this film definitely delivered on that end, but I think Rich mentioned it does hit a wall pretty fast. It has like this huge open, and then it goes into like, what I usually call like in every 70s film, it's always the same thing. It's like the investigation. So now the investigation starts, and that kind of brings it from like a slow burn to a crawl. And I think this film definitely suffered from that a little bit. And again, I think Rich mentioned it too, and I think I have a note here. There's a lot of Ishtar in this film, and it's really just meaning like there's a lot of things that could have been cut out. It wasn't. It's just there, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like I think they would do like a 10-15 second establishing shot for a scene that doesn't even matter. Like it's not even matter. It's like they're setting up the shot for like a long time. I'm like, oh, that's gorgeous. That's amazing. And then like the guy looks in the shop window and then cut to the next scene. And I'm like, why did I just watch that for like 4 minutes for that? So I think my problem and I don't know. I don't know how to say this, but maybe I just got a little bit too modern for like these giallo films because I'm expecting I'm expecting the pace and I'm waiting for the kills, and I know that's probably not the proper way to be watching an Argento film, but I definitely don't want to take anything away from what I think was amazing acting. I think like all the characters were like pretty cool. I even like Carlo, the drunk guy. I mean, like I think Marcus and Gianna. I thought they were fantastic, and even the levity with the comedic breaks. I mean, it was at first I was like, "What is this?" And then I was like, "All right, I kind of get it," and it makes sense. But I mean, yeah, I definitely some issues with the film, but I haven't seen it in a long time, so I think I'm confusing it with a lot of other Argento films I probably watched over time, where there was probably like a little more faster pace and maybe a lot more kills.
So before we kind of get more into it, Rudy, I noticed you just
I
poured
I
something
did.
new.
Oh,
And what did you just pour? You just
mm.
poured another glass.
What's that?
Yeah, this is Traverse City. This is from Michigan, so it's like a Michigan
Ooh.
distillery. Yeah, produced and bottled by the Traverse City Whiskey Company, Traverse City, Michigan. So this is a barrel proof, store pick, 7 years old, coming in at 121 proof.
Holy.
Damn.
And I got it because they got this little Reservoir Dogs
That's so
kind of
sick.
sticker
That
on
is
it. I don't know if
awesome.
the autofocus is finding it, but
No, it's
so this is a
working.
bottle I've had for a long time, and I'm like trying to finish it. I've got like a pile that are like, here's the shit I got to get rid of.
Well,
Oh,
I
don't worry.
think we
We're
all
gonna
just
play a
poured.
drinking game later,
Yeah,
and we'll finish
Yeah,
that.
I think
sorry.
I think we all just like poured fresh pours. So
Yeah,
I'm just gonna do a cheers right in the middle of this here because I'm cheers
cheers.
for what fresh
Cheers.
pours here. All right, let's get
Yeah.
back into the film.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Rudy, but I
Oh,
just saw you pull out a new bottle and
no,
I had
yeah,
to see what it was. So what were you going to
all
say?
good. I was just gonna say I do agree that it definitely like falls into a slog, and that's why I think it took me like a few viewings to get into it, especially seeing it in the theater. I think if I didn't get that opportunity, it wouldn't be in a higher favor for me. But yeah, it does really slow down. But I think for me, it's like when you get to the kills and some of the great suspense moments, it's for me in the end, it's worth it, especially just to get to that last frame too. And one part that should be pretty exciting, but always when I get there, it feels like an eternity, is when he's like climbing up the side of the old house, like when he eventually discovers the body in the wall and he's like falling and hanging off the edge and trying not to die. Like for some reason, whenever it gets to that section, that always feels like the longest kind of chunk of the movie, even more. It should be really gripping and it kind of loses me. But Yeah, I think it's worth it to get to the like the scary moments, especially when that one guy he was on that panel in the front. I forgot what his job was, but when there's the creepy music playing, which by the way, the sound design and the use of that like children's kind of la la song
It's like a
is
killer
brilliant.
soundtrack. Yeah.
But yeah, but when that guy is just, he's getting scared, thinks something's going on, and when it just goes silent and there's like a doorway that's like all black, and that weird creepy doll thing
Oh
starts
my
kind of
God. Yes.
rushing
Oh.
towards him,
Yeah.
is like such a disturbing moment. And dude, man, if you ever get a chance to see it in the theater, that is the moment of all moments. People cringing and screaming and all that. Sorry, I probably talk about theater stuff too much, but
No, no, and I think
it's
that
such a great
scene
moment.
is really fucking creepy and scary,
Yeah.
and it's like that's when I saw this again. Like that was the one scene that I remembered, like that.
Mm.
But and then that guy gets killed really brutally. Like his mouth is getting like slammed into
Yeah.
Yeah.
things.
Ooh.
It's awesome. The only problem is like that doesn't happen till like an hour and 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. It's
So
it's
by this
pretty far
point,
in.
like and then like everything kind of like really starts to move after that. But by the time
Yeah.
it got to that, I was already like, okay, like I already had made my mind up about the movie that I don't like this movie.
Mm.
But like that scene is a really incredible scene. Like that's really good. So this has like there are really good moments, and I do like movies where there's an investigation where they're like figuring things out. But I kind of felt like a lot of the investigation, and maybe it was just I wasn't paying enough attention because I was getting bored. But it was like it wasn't explained like how he was figuring some of these things out. It was like,
Mm.
oh, now all of a sudden I'm here and I'm gonna like tear off the wall. Like I kind of needed to, like more. And again, I get that like they don't want to give everything away, or maybe it was just they want you to kind of use your brain, or maybe just they just didn't feel like filling in the gaps with writing. But I kind of needed to like understand like how we got from point A to point B to point C. It just seemed like things were just kind of thrown together. Like I felt like I was
Mm.
missing something. And I know there is a like a longer cut of the movie that maybe there are things that they just cut for time that I missed, but I was lost a lot where I just didn't understand like why is he in this building now?
Right.
And again, it could have just been my attention span just wasn't there. But that was like one of the issues I had about how he was figuring these things out. I also kind of didn't really I liked him, the main character Marcus. I didn't really care for Gianni personally, the journalist. I just felt like she was a weird character, and I think she just like wasn't really developed and was just like, oh, here's like this female sidekick kind of, and that was just kind of my opinion on her. I kind of would have liked her to be something more than just like again something for comic relief, maybe. I don't know.
I felt like she
And
was
she
the
does
red
disappear
herring.
for a while, huh?
Red herring, exactly. I thought
Red
she was going
Yeah,
to be the
herring.
killer.
yeah. I thought she like
Um,
I thought that was the point of her because guys, you probably remember this film a lot more than I do. I had no idea that that robot butler was coming. Like I was actually scared, but I was like, man, why is this woman, in this film? And there's some of the things she would say or some of her mannerisms, like, oh, I bet she's the killer, but she wasn't.
yeah,
So.
and the other thing they did was they kept showing close-ups on the killer and like the eyeliner, and she had black
Mm.
eyeliner under her eyes, and I
Mhm.
remember there was one line where she's like they arm wrestled or something, which was kind of silly, but she was like, I think they were talking about something like a man can do everything, and she's like, well, a woman can do that too. So I would have actually liked her as a killer. I kind of felt, and again, like it might have just been my attention span when they actually explained who the killer was didn't make a lot of sense to me. It was just like it felt thrown together, I guess.
Mm.
And I know that's how some of these movies are. It's like that one character that you see a couple of times now all of a sudden is like the the villain, but I felt like it kind of just it didn't make sense. I was like, wait, him? Like he's the killer? Like I didn't get it. Um but again, maybe I'm missing
What was
something.
the mom, right?
Well, the mom and the son, it
But
was
he
like
didn't
this.
actually murder anyone, did he? I don't
No,
think
no,
he
I don't think
I
actually
no,
don't
killed
not
anyone.
not Carlo. No, no, he
Yeah.
didn't. But I mean, he definitely caught it in like one of the best kills of the
Yeah, that
in
poor
the
bastard.
entire film. I mean, I thought like I was not expecting that. I thought that was fantastic. Um, yeah, so I don't think we're spoiling anything for a 40 you're almost, I mean, over 50, like, I don't know. Yeah, we'll get 50-year-old film. I don't think we're spoiling anything. So yeah, the mother was the killer. Thought Gianna was the red herring, and you said she did disappear for a little bit, Rudy, and I thought that was a perfect red herring move. You know,
Mm.
it's like, I'm like, oh yeah, she's just gonna pop back up later and be the killer, but also kind of have to like agree with Rich, where I'm like, why is this woman who was in this film probably 5 minutes? Like, why is she the killer? And I was a little disappointed. I kind of wanted it to be Carlo. I wanted to be him because for some reason that made a little bit more sense to me, but it's all right. You know, it doesn't have to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
like. Oh, sorry, go
No, no, go
ahead.
ahead. No, go for it.
I was gonna say I do like that. For me, by the time I get to that point, I buy it all that like, oh yeah, he is the killer. Here it is. We're wrapping up. That's it.
Hmm.
So I actually like that. Then there's that moment where, Marcus is kind of walking down that same street with the bar and it hits him like, wait a second. He was down here with me when it
Yeah.
happened. And then now there's this whole other scene that like this whole other scene because and I feel like most audience would think that you would just go along with like, all right, yeah, that's him.
I
They
did.
solved it. And I do, yeah, I do like that there is I'm not gonna call it like a tag ending, but there's a little twist, I guess, at the end, you know.
But I was like, who's the fucking killer? I'm like
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone is literally accounted for. I'm like, who could this killer possibly be?
Yeah.
And it was a little surprising that they they brought in like the mother, and she was
Mhm.
capable of these
Well,
brutal kills.
what I don't get is I thought they both were because isn't the opening scene that they play back later is like a child killing somebody and it's like this blonde child. So isn't that
So that was
Carlo?
him. Yeah,
It
that was
it was
Carlo.
it was
Yeah,
yeah, it was him as a boy and it was the mom murdering the father
the father.
because he was gonna have her institutionalized or something, and she's like, no, no, and grabs a knife. And so Carlo, I guess, is messed up because he like witnessed it.
Okay,
And
got
I
it.
think that's why as like the adult he was trying to protect her, and
Okay, that makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah, I
Yeah.
missed I by that point again I was kind of checked out
Yeah.
and it does yeah, again, the last like 5 minutes of the movie are where it kind of wraps everything up and I feel like it just wraps it up very quickly where you're like you said it's just all of a
Yeah.
sudden and then it just ends and like I think that again that last shot is really beautiful that final kill even though it is a little bit of a banana peel where someone like just happens to get stuck to the elevator and even Carlo's kill getting dragged by the truck he just
That was
happens to like
awesome. That
but it
was
was so
sick.
banana peel it was
Who
like
cares, man? It was
right
like Final
yeah
Destination.
yeah
That was
yeah
awesome.
yeah
That
but
was
it's just
so
like
aw-
it was
that,
awesome but it was also kind of silly too at the same
you
time
had
but
to
it was
rewind it.
cool
That's how silly it was. It was
Yeah.
you had to like rewind that. I got to tell you something I didn't like, which I think took a little bit away the fear of this film because I do want to be scared and I want to not know what's going on. And I feel like every time the killer was going to be introduced, they kind of put on that weird upbeat music in the background. And I'm not talking about the creepy soundtrack that the killer brought with them. I'm talking about just the music that I guess, I don't know if Goblin was doing that, but it
yeah
was like
it's like
this
this jazz music
unusual, yeah.
yeah
And you're like,
Mm.
oh, the killer is going to be here. And then a couple seconds later, the killer appears. And it just felt like a warning. And it took away for me, it took away the suspense of not knowing the killer was going to pop out because once I figured out that that was the cue, I was like, I wasn't as scared as I would have been. And I think that took it away from me because that was like the whole point of this film is that even though these people were like in their house, even though these people seemed like they were protected, the killer would just pop out and somehow gain access and kill them. I don't know how this woman did it now that we know who it is, but it was a little, it kind of took me out of it, I think a little bit because I wanted that tension. I wanted to feel like squirming in my seat and like, oh man, what the fuck's gonna happen right now? And it never really got to that because I'm like, oh, there's that music. Here comes the killer. And I don't know what you guys thought of that.
Yeah, I think it's just taste, right? Because like Rudy, you mentioned at the beginning that you liked the Goblin music, and in Suspiria, I love the Goblin music. It's like one of my favorite soundtracks. In this one, like I really didn't like that jazz music, and it's the same kind of same but a little different that happens throughout the movie a lot. and it is kind of like an Argento thing. Like he does that in a lot of his movies. Like I rewatched Phenomena, and he does it the same thing, only it's like metal music, and it's like the same kind
What?
of thing where all of a sudden you hear this like metal music, and then like all of the creepy shit happens. And
Oh,
to me, it did take me out, especially being this like jazz kind of music. It just didn't work for me. But again, 1975 film, um, you know, so it probably fit that. It didn't connect with me why it was kind of jazz, but then I just realized reading my notes, he's a jazz pianist. So it makes sense that you
Right.
kind of would have that to connect it to. So I get it now. Maybe I'd appreciate it a little bit more. But yeah, I had the same opinion as Jerry there. So that's why again, it's just taste. Like you you really enjoyed that. So
Yeah, it's funny. I think I just give it a pass because of the era and like for looking back in an older movie, it's oh, this is
yeah.
the style and kind of
yeah.
how they did it. Like if you made this exact movie shot for shot, music cue for music cue, actor for actor, like now, I feel like I'd probably feel very similar to you guys. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You're like, why are we doing this? But looking back, I'm like, okay, that was their just how they did it in that moment. So yeah, but now that's all very valid for sure.
No, and I get giving it a pass, right? And I think we're just being overly critical because we're talking about it for a podcast. We have to fill an hour and a half of like critiquing these movies. So yeah, I mean, look, there's definitely things about it that I think are really cool and really effective. There's like, unfortunately for me to like find it entertaining, it was just too much. It just dragged too much for me. And again, the more I talk about it, the more I realize I do need to watch it again and not watch it with the commercial breaks, which probably really took me out of this movie where, I might have like it might have held my attention more if I didn't have that. And usually we watch movies for the show, I will watch them without it, but it was tough to find this one, like, and to find the same version we could all kind
Mhm.
of watch together. Have you seen any of the other versions, Rudy?
I don't think so. I mean, my Blu-ray, I'm pretty sure, is this director's cut. I know it said it when I threw it on. Um,
That's got to be two and
yeah,
change right
and then
there. You probably got a half hour extra footage in that one. That's got to be like
yeah, two
2:15.
two 2 hours 7 minutes. And
Wow.
then I'm pretty sure, like when I saw the film prints of it, it looked pretty consistent to me. I have it running in the background right now too, but it looked
Nice.
pretty consistent to me when I saw the film version of it. So I imagine it must have been the same cut I've seen every time.
And
Yeah, we
it is called
good.
Deep Red, and the blood is very red, which is again very very Argento, and especially in that last shot, it looks really cool. And the other thing they did with some of the kills too, like there's a lot of these close-up shots of like a face, like when they're on the ground and
Mhm.
they're like dripping blood, but they're also like foaming at the mouth too, and there's these little subtle touches that make it more graphic than like a 1975 movie might be, perhaps. Like, so it's very well done, I think. Would you say so? Like, are you a fan of some of the older Argento giallo films? Like, what are some other ones that you've
So
enjoyed?
the Argento films I've seen are Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Suspiria, Inferno, Deep Red, Tenebrae, and oh shit, what's the other one? Opera.
Opera, yeah.
Opera. So those are of the Argento films. I feel like I might be missing one, but those are the ones I've seen. I think I like this one more than Bird with the Crystal Plumage. This is one that I visit, a little more than that one, but I do like that film as well. Um, and yeah, Suspiria is another yearly watch for me. The other films I've only seen once, so I got to watch them again. But
So
yeah,
yeah, I haven't seen it in a minute, but I am a big fan of opera. I like that a lot. I haven't seen it though in a long time, so I wonder how I feel about it now. But I always, whenever I think of it, I'm always like, oh yeah, I liked that movie. I like Tenebrae a lot, although it's a very weird movie. It's
yeah.
bizarre, like when you watch it. And it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I do like it. I did rewatch Inferno the other day, and I don't know if I've ever seen it, but if I have, it was a long time ago. That one I'm going to tell people not to watch because there is some very graphic violence against cats in that one, which really
Oh,
bummed me out.
what?
And yeah, and it happens like an hour and like 10 minutes into it. So I was like so
Oh,
invested and I was like pissed. I'm like, okay, I'm going to turn this off now, which I kind of ruined me. So I wouldn't watch Inferno. But I've never seen his, I don't think and if I have seen him, it's a long time ago. Like, I don't think I've ever seen Four Flies on Grey Velvet or
Mm,
Cat of Nine Tails. I don't think I've ever seen. So I do need to kind of
yeah.
go back and try them.
Did you
Um,
see his new film, his newest?
which one's that?
It's like 2 years ago. I can't think of the name of
I
it
definitely
right
didn't see
now.
it.
Can't think of it right
Is it like
now.
the card player? That one?
I don't know. I'm trying to look it up like right now.
Yeah. Yeah, every
It's
couple of years he'll put out a movie, and like I haven't been really following them. I think the last movie I've seen of his was Mother of Tears,
oh,
which was
Dark
the
Glasses. That's what it was.
I
It's
never even
probably,
heard of that.
yeah, it's
Have
like
you seen it?
2022. I watched it, but I may not be an Argento guy. I don't, I think I am, but I may not be because I don't remember a lot of his films.
Yeah.
I could tell you the one I do remember is the one with the killer has the saw and he's cutting everyone's head off. I don't know which one that is.
Trauma. That's trauma, I
Yeah.
think.
So
Yeah.
so I watched that one. But outside of that and Suspiria, I don't really remember them too much. I remember I watched this probably in 2022 because it came out and I was like really excited and I think they did it on Shudder like as soon as it was released. Didn't stick with me. I didn't say like, oh, I need to watch it again. I don't know if you caught that one, Rudy.
No, no, I haven't seen any of the newer stuff. I think the latest movie I've seen from him is Opera. I
Okay.
do need Mother of Tears is high on the list though, since it's kind of the end of the Suspiria Inferno trilogy, but the reviews seem pretty harsh on that one. But I'll watch it sometime.
Yeah, I don't remember it too well. It had moments, but overall, like it sounds like
Hmm.
something you need to watch.
Yeah.
It's I think I was a bigger Argento fan back in the day because and I'm thinking of like some other ones. I'm like, oh yeah, I used to like Stendhal Syndrome and Sleepless I used to like, but I wonder if I watched them now if it would resonate the same for me because like I'm more my attention span's a little a little weaker than it used to be back in the day. And I do know I was kind of scared to rewatch them because I know again a lot of these movies do have animal violence and there was some in Deep
Mhm.
Red they kill the bird.
Bird, yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
hear
yeah.
there's a scene, and I didn't see it in this version, but there is a scene where they kill a lizard at one point, which I might have
It
been
was
cut
in this
out.
version.
It
Yeah.
was. I must have like
Yeah, it
not
was
been paying
the
attention.
The little
little
girl.
girl, right? It was
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
weird.
so I'm a little nervous to kind of go back and watch
They-
some of these because he does have animals pretty prominently in a lot of them, and like
Mhm.
again, Suspiria, there's animals, but none of them get hurt. So I'm always just kind of like it's kind of hard for me to go back just knowing that might happen, especially after my experience with Inferno the other day.
Damn, man. What the hell, Argento? Yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
it's
So
a-
anyway, so let's wrap this one up so we can get on to the movie I really want to talk about is Suspiria. Rudy, so what we do on this show is we play a little drinking game and how that works. How it works when we have a guest is the number of we rate our movies on a scale of 0 to 5 bloody knives. The number of bloody knives I give a movie are the number of sips Jerry needs to drink, and vice versa. And the number of bloody knives Rudy gives are the number of sips Jerry and I need to take together. But what we also do on this show is when we have a guest, they need to pick somebody who is their partner to drink with for the night. So, Rudy, what that means is if you pick me, you have to take sips with me. So, if Jerry gives a rating, you have to take those sips along with me. Or, again, if you pick Jerry, you need to take whatever sips I delve out. So, important choice. You already kind of heard my opinion on this one, and you kind of know my opinion on Suspiria. So it's up to you how much you want to
How you
drink
gonna play
tonight.
that?
Who do you pick for tonight?
I think I'm gonna go with Jerry because that means I'm probably gonna end up drinking more, right? As the
Potentially,
rules are.
potentially.
Yeah.
We don't know his rating on Deep Red yet, so we
Listen,
do know mine. So I
this-
will give my rating on Deep Red now, so you know how much you'll be drinking.
so this will be for me and you, Rudy.
So I'm unfortunately like again I didn't find it entertaining. It's not that it's bad. I just didn't like it. It has some positive things, but it's not going to end up in my rotation. I don't think even after a rewatch. So I'm giving it 1.5, which is a pretty low
Wow.
rating.
Yeah,
But
that's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I am going to give it another try, but I think even if I like it more the next time, it's probably going to be like I watch it one more time and then I'm kind of done with it. So I'm giving it
Mhm.
1.5. So
Mm.
let's see. So Jerry, why don't you give your rating that way we could all drink together?
Oh, okay. That sounds good. Yeah, you know what? I'm like on the fence with this one. I thought it was a great watch. I love the cinematography. There are a lot of things I did like. I like the kills. I just wish there was maybe like two more, and just to really kind of keep it moving along a little bit quicker. But I mean, crazy story, crazy, plot. I mean, it was is absurd. So I kind of give it credit for that. So I'm going to go with 2.5 bloody
You know,
eyes.
I think if there were two more kills, I would have given it like a much higher
Hmm.
rating. I probably would have liked it a lot more if there were just
Just would
two
have
more
moved
things.
around a little bit.
Yeah. So okay. So I'm going to sip 2.5. You guys are going to sip 1.5. Cheers to that, and then we'll get Rudy's rating after that.
Cheers.
Mhm.
All right. I'm going to pour my Buffalo Trace now to do these sips. So
Yeah,
Rudy,
because Rudy's going to hit this one hard.
yeah, yeah. You picked this movie. You've seen it in theaters twice, which to me that means
Yeah.
you must have liked it the first
Going
time.
to be guzzling right
Or you
now.
were just really bored and had free tickets. But what do you give this movie 0 to 5?
Um, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I wanted to say 4, but
Fair.
that seems like it's really high echelon. So I'm gonna go 3.5 on this one.
Respectable. All right, cool.
Fair.
Cheers.
3.5.
Cheers.
And look, don't
I'm
listen
gonna
to me.
change
Like,
my camera battery real quick.
yeah, yeah. Don't listen to me, everybody. Like, if you're a fan of horror, 70s horror, Argento, like, definitely check this one out. Just because, like, I didn't like it, even though my opinion is probably the one that matters most.
I mean, I would say don't listen to me either. I have like the shittiest taste in movies, like Rudy gave his top 5 films, and I'm like, fuck, man, everyone has better taste than I have, and I'm like if someone asked me like what my top 5 films were, they'd be like the shittiest movies ever. I'd be like Slumber Party Massacre, and people would be like, stop it, dude. Like I
It's a
just
fun
don't
one.
have,
It's
I
a
just
fun
don't
one.
have good taste though. I just don't have good taste in films. So I'm always like, annoyed that everyone has like better taste than me. Speaking of taste, I figure we taste this bourbon a little bit more. So, Rudy, pour that up right now. I'm going to introduce a little drinking game right now. And, if you give some consent that you're going to play it, we'll get into it. But I just want you to know that this is part two
Oof.
of the brand new drinking game that we just came up with in the last episode that had me and Rich rocked. And it's called the Progressive Sips Trivia Game. And it's back. So, first, I want to know, are you down to play it?
I'm down.
All
Oh,
right,
shit.
that's
All
good.
right.
So,
Consent.
so I did learn a lot. And what I learned is we're not going to have as many questions because it just got like unruly towards the end and it didn't make any sense. So there's only a couple questions for this one. And this game is really, really simple. It's really just going to be a true false. And the number question it is basically the number of sips that you have to take. So on the first question, there's just one sip of steak. On the second question, there's two sips of steak, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm only going to be discussing the two films that we are talking about today. I'm not going to get into any other Argento films. So this is just stuff that happens in these films. So it shouldn't be that hard, but I tried to find some obscure things or maybe some weird things. You kind of mentioned something, so I'm a little nervous when we get a little deeper into it. So I may be drinking. So the first thing is you need a partner. So I'm gonna put you and Rich together. So you and Rich are gonna be drinking together. I'll be the odd man out. So here's the deal: if you get it right, I'm gonna drink. But if you get it wrong, you both drink. How does that sound?
Sounds
You
good
know,
to me.
I didn't consent to being Rudy's partner, but I do trust him and I have a lot of faith. And fuck it, let's do
You don't
it.
want to be on my team, dude. That's just a disaster waiting. That's
Yeah.
that's a disaster waiting to happen. And you want to know what? I'm feeling so nice today, Rudy. I'm gonna let you guys converse, so you guys
Oh
could actually
shit.
be a real team,
Woo!
and basically, come to an answer together. And the answer is just going to be true or false. So, are you ready?
Yep.
Let's
Here
do
we
it.
go. All right, we're gonna be talking about Deep Red in this one. Ready? There are 6 kills in Deep Red. True or false?
The psychic,
Oh,
the
you
butler
actually
doll
know the
guy,
people. Damn.
the lady in the water, Carlo, the mother. Do we
Did you
want to
get
count
the
the father in the flashback?
it's
That
a
would be
kill, right?
6 right there. If we, yeah, yeah. So that's gotta.
So, what are you going with? True or
I'm down
false?
with true. Rich.
I'm with you. Let's do it.
Damn, you guys are right. You got the first one right. I'm taking a sip. I didn't think this guy was gonna like go through them. Damn. Okay.
I know when we did this last time, I just blurted out. I
Oh,
didn't really
yeah.
think too
I
hard
mean,
about it. So
a
I
real-
respect you. You're doing it right.
That's calculated.
You're doing
right
it
there.
right.
I mean, and just when there was like one sip on the line. All right, now we have two sips on the line because this is question two. All right, and we're gonna pop over to Suspiria. All right, the ballet school in Suspiria is called the Tanz Academy. True or false? The whole movie is about this, so it's not that out of a.
I'm gonna say true, but
Yeah, I'll go with that.
All right, I might be getting screwed here, having you guys partner up. That is correct. True. It's called the Tanz Academy. I'm already on 3 sips. This game gets dangerous. All right. Back to Suspiria. Suspiria is film 2 of the Argento trilogy called Three Mothers. True or false?
Oh no, it's false.
True.
False. How's it
Movie-
filmed too?
Oh, fuck. Okay, yeah, you're right. Inferno was filmed too. Yeah. False.
False final answer?
Final answer.
Guys are killing me, man.
Damn. Sorry, yeah, I just jumped right into that with all confidence.
See, you did my move, and you just
Yeah.
We got to think on this. This is important. This is all right, so Jerry's at 5 sips.
So I was going to stop at 4 because that would be 10 sips total if someone lost them all. And I'm on the verge of losing them all. But I have a bonus question if I don't lose this one. So we're going to see how this one plays out because 10 sips is a lot to take. Not the 27 I took last time, but close. I don't want another night like that. All right, here we go. We are going back to Suspiria. Helena Marcos was the witch who founded the ballet school. True or false?
I'm pretty confident that's true.
I would
Guys
say
going
that.
with that?
I agree.
I am 0 for 4. I'm about to take 10 sips, which is crazy. Oh.
Damn. All right. Well, 10's better than the 28 you had last
You know what?
episode.
I like a little bit of punishment. We're going to throw the bonus question in because I'm a sore loser and I definitely do not want to lose 4 questions in a row. So I'm going to throw this one at you. If you guys are down for this bonus question, it's for 5 sips.
Let's do it. We gotta get this.
Guys are doing it?
I want to see him hurting.
Okay. We're going to go back to... We're going to go deep red on this
Okay,
one.
you know what? I changed my mind.
Okay. All right. You really had to pay attention to catch this. And
I definitely don't want to do this.
in the beginning of the film. All right, ready? All right. In Deep Red, Helga, the psychic, is Romanian. True or false? They talk about it in the newscast.
I want to say true on that.
All right, you saw this in theaters twice.
Oh, no.
I have no opinion whatsoever. I have no idea.
I'm
definitely missed me.
Yeah, I want to say that's true.
Okay, well, thank God I won one. Okay,
yeah,
so they had an issue. So they actually messed it up. In the beginning, they said that she's German, and then in the newscast, they say she's Lithuanian. I would have accepted either answer or just a false, but you guys went with true, so 5 sips.
Sorry.
Oh, thank God.
All right, from now on, anytime you say, do you want to do the bonus question? The answer is no.
Oh, man. I didn't want to take 5 after taking the 10, man. That's brutal.
that was a rough question, but 50-50 chance, and we
just had to watch the film.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll watch it.
I got it. I got the question from the film.
So Rudy, really quick before we get to Suspiria, I noticed you have a Misfits shirt on. So best Misfits album. And there's only one right answer. No, I'm kidding.
Dude, I don't know, man. I really like Static Age. It'd be between that and Walk Among Us, man.
Yeah, I'd have to say Walk Among Us would be my favorite.
Mm,
However, like I forget what songs are on which because there's so many different configurations
yeah,
of blah blah blah. But I mean, they're both classics. So I haven't
yeah.
listened to Misfits in a while, but huge fan. Yeah. So before we get into kind of Suspiria, just how often do you do episodes, Rudy, right now on your
So
podcast?
I typically put an episode out every Monday. Lately with the Bond series, it's been pretty inconsistent where I've done a lot more. Like there was a period where I was doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday,
Holy shit.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but typically because a lot of those I did solo, so it was easy to just watch the movie and then record.
Yeah.
But typically Mondays. Right now I am at a point where I might start becoming inconsistent with it just because like other work that I'm doing and other kind of stuff I have to prioritize. So I'm gonna keep the show going, but I don't know that I'm gonna stick to like every Monday I have to get it out by 6 a.m. kind of thing, you know? But we'll
Yeah, no, I
see.
mean we're bi-weekly because every week is just rough to kind of like find the time
Yeah,
to do it and edit it and get it all out. I wish we could do it weekly, but again, it's tough when you have
it's a
um
lot.
yeah, like when you have a life, right? It's tough
Yeah, yeah,
when it's hard.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about Suspiria from 1977. I'll give you the plot really quick. Susie Bannon, an American ballet student, transfers to a prestigious European dance academy, but realizes after a series of murders that the academy is a front for a coven of witches.
Mm.
And yeah, this movie kind of gets you right from the beginning. Like it's, the screen is like black with the credits, and there's like the orchestra kind of warming up, and then like that goblin soundtrack kicks in, and it's such an iconic, creepy soundtrack that like a score that kind of appears throughout the movie, and it just really gets you in the mood. And it's just one of the worst storms I've ever seen, like ever. It's pouring rain. The Susie kind of gets in this cab. Everybody's like unfriendly. She gets dropped off at this dance academy in the middle of the night. And she sees this woman kind of run out, in a panic and run away. And then right after that, there's two of like the most brutal kills like I've seen in any movie, just really violent. It kind of really just sets the stage for this really creepy, bizarre, kind of mysterious movie that just unfolds, focusing on again these women in this dance academy that is one by one picked off by these witches. Um, the movie is so colorful, and one thing I love about it, it's like the settings, like the every room that they're in is really interesting, and there's all these like weird shapes, and like every shot is beautiful and interesting to look at. Like even when like nothing is really happening and there just might be some kind of throwaway kind of dialogue, it's very interesting to look at, and it's not boring. Like everything is framed perfectly. And in my opinion, this movie is just a masterpiece. It's just a perfect movie in a lot of ways, and I love it. So I picked this movie. Would kind of love to hear. I'm going to rave about this movie probably the next 20 minutes or so, but would love to kind of hear your thoughts on it. So very different than Deep Red, stylistically similar but very different. So Rudy, I'll ask you, like, how do you feel about this movie? What are things that you like, dislike about it? Like, would love to kind of know other people's thoughts on it.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that I do like 28 Days Later watch probably once a year. Story wise, I honestly think it's kind of fine. I don't know. I know that I'm in the minority of not quite putting it in like masterpiece of horror territory because I know that's like very common. But that doesn't mean I don't like it. I do like it. I watch it again, like I said, once a year. It does become a bit of a slog for me, kind of like what you were saying with Deep Red. I feel very much that way with this one. But it's also the parts where it does ramp up and get really good is really good, and it makes up for it all. The opening 10 minutes and that first kill is fucking incredible. And that's a scene that even if I'm not watching the movie, every once in a while I'll just go and throw on that scene on YouTube. It just like it's pitch perfect in every way. And for me, again, being like kind of a cinematographer type person, it's like the movie is just a masterclass in just like making bold choices and like the whole visual aesthetic, not just the colorful lighting. And to do a horror movie of like witches and this sort, but to go this fantasy element where supposedly Dario Argento told the cinematographer like watch Snow White and that's the color palette we're doing, you know, and I just think it's so incredible, and the fact that it, lighting wise doesn't make sense, doesn't even fucking matter like one bit because it's like early on, as soon as she walks out the doors of that airport, and even when they cut, when it's like silent and she's walking, and it'll cut to like the doors and then play the music and then back to her and it's silent, and then the doors whisk open and the wind blows her hair back and she's wet in the rain and music's full blast and you know she's now on like another planet basically, and even those car shots are incredible. And yeah, all that aspect. I mean, the kills amazing. Just the set deck, set design, like you said, every single frame is. I mean, each frame is a masterpiece, right? Every frame a painting. Like even when it's not colorful, just the wallpapers and the designs and all the choices they make are amazing. And I wish so badly I could go back in time and just be on the set and see what it looked like behind the scenes. Like, what the fuck did it look like? You know what I mean? To be there and yeah. So sorry, that's my quick take on it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like the story isn't like overly complicated. It doesn't really I wouldn't know if it I wouldn't say it doesn't make sense, but it's not like this big elaborate story. It's a pretty simple kind of story that you figure out. But to me, yeah, it's funny. It doesn't drag for me, although I will say there are scenes that are slower, especially like there's like a scene where they're both in the swimming pool and there's like long shots of them just kind of like swimming, but to me, it's just like the music and the tension. It's just it looks beautiful, and it's just creepy. And a lot of these scenes to me that I don't know if I picked up on until like this watch. But there's a lot of scenes from like overhead or far away, and they're these long kind of shots. And what to me it is, it's like some kind of supernatural element, like the witch is kind of watching. And that's why I kind of like feel like it works. And the other scene it makes me think of is there's a really long scene. There's the blind guy. And he's walking with his dog,
Oh,
and
Daniel.
he,
Yeah.
yeah, and he's walking in this like really open area with these like big, huge buildings with like columns, and it's a really long, like drawn out kind of scene. It's very tense to me, but at some point his dog stops and he stops, and it's just a lot of him just kind of standing there with like the creepy music building up. But there's like again all these like different shots of like pan shots from high, and like then it cuts back to him, and so to me it keeps it interesting even though it is a little drawn out, so I can kind of see like why it might drag for some people, like just because there are some of these scenes do go on a little long. But I kind of also just enjoy that too. I get into the vibe of it, I guess. Like I just kind of like
Yeah.
sit back and just get like immersed in everything that's happening. But like if you told me that if I just saw that scene, I might be really bored. But I get in the mood of it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Jerry, what about you? How do you feel?
I mean, I talk about it all the time. If I'm talking about a dark and stormy night, this is what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what I love in film. This is the atmosphere that I really, really get into. And that opening shot is just incredible to me because you're mixing some of my favorite things, which is like you guys mentioned it all, the big saturated colors and the stormy night. It's just so cool to me. And you do get really wrapped up into the camera work. You get really wrapped up into the coloring and things like that. Like this guy had a color wheel and he used it. You know what I'm saying? He was looking at like every single possibility he could do with the lighting, and he did it. He was doing complementary colors. He was doing analogous colors, which are all crazy things. It's just taking things that don't naturally go together and putting them together. So you have like you have back there, Rudy, you got red and blue. They don't go together. They're not supposed to go together. You shouldn't be lighting a scene like that, but he is absolutely lighting a scene like that. And just like Rich said, he's creating a mood like that. And I think his colors are really kind of like putting me in that mood because you don't realize like what it's doing psychologically to you. So when he's putting like these clashing colors, it's kind of making you uncomfortable. But then when he's like mixing the colors and using like the analogous colors that are next to each other, like orange and yellow and things like that, you're relaxed. And he's affecting your mood, not just what you're looking at on screen, but but the lighting as well. And to me, I really get caught up in that. And I find myself paying attention more to kind of like what's going on around the film than what's actually happening in the film. The film feels pretty linear. I mean, yes, it's a little bit of a twist, but I think we know right from like the first 10 minutes of the film that something weird is going on here. So any sort of twist shouldn't be like that, like, from like outfield or anything like that. You shouldn't be like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Something is coming. Maybe you didn't know it was witches or something like that, but you knew that there was something coming. So I really get caught up really, in the mood of this film. And just kind of going back to what Rudy said, I'm gonna agree with him there. It does hit a moment where we get to the investigation, and after that first kill, there's a good 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes where not a lot is happening, and the plot that they're building isn't really building much. It's not building the characters too much. It's not really building really anything. So I do feel that dip, but I feel like it hits these huge crescendos and it takes so long to get over them that you're already up to the next one once you start getting to them. And I'm sure you guys want to talk about, what I'm talking about, the crescendos, which are the kills, which are probably some of the best in film. But yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like I don't get that same experience where it drops off for me because I think it does kind of develop Susie's character a bit, and it kind of you do feel that like the movie kind of shifts almost to like a non-horror now because it's kind of showing like how she's interacting with the various other dancers and like how they're kind of all assholes to her and stuff like that. But to me it kind of creates this like isolation that
Okay.
she's like in this like by herself basically, and like you kind of see like even like the other like her friend is kind of like outed a bit, so you get this feeling she's almost like trapped in this space and it's like uncomfortable because like everybody's kind of treating her like shit and it's like really harsh, and then you add this whole other thing on top of it. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, not only is that happening, but like there's witches too that are gonna like kill you.
People
So
are
for me,
disappearing.
yeah, for me I kind of dig it, like I'm kind of into it because I kind of like that kind of movie, and like it does kind of keep me on edge a little bit because I want to know like what's actually going to happen. But again, like I could also see that like it starts off really fucking impactful and then kind of there's like 20 minutes of like setting up the school and the other characters.
Yeah, it does hit those
Yeah,
highs
that's
though. I
all.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Go ahead, Rudy.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that's all really well said. I feel like for me with Jessica Harper, Susie, I'm always just like I feel like as a character she's just kind of fine. I find myself whenever I watch it, and maybe it's just because this person has a terrible fate, but is her friend, it's Sarah, right? The one that she does kind of
Yes.
get close to, who's starting to put the pieces together and learns a little bit too much and then gets whacked. And that's like I feel like that's always the most impactful part for me too, because I'm like rooting for her more than anybody, and then she just gets wrecked, like,
Yeah,
and
her kill
walking
is
through rooms that are
amazing.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Iconic,
it's so
iconic.
excruciating and drawn out, like the barbed wire thing, and just walking from, you talk about when it goes to analogous colors, where it's like where it's like the room is just all bathed in green.
Yeah,
And there's this
exactly.
great shot too where the camera's like shooting through a light bulb, and then
It's so
it
sick.
kind of
Yeah,
like cranes down, and then she's walking through like all the primary colors. It's like, oh, here's the yellow and the red and
exactly.
the blue barbed wire room. And it's almost more unsettling to be in those spaces where it's like one color, and one could say it's like flat, but it never comes across that
It's
way. It
not
really kind
flat
of
though. Yeah.
closes
Like
you in, it's like, oh man, it
yeah,
works
like
so
it's funny
well.
because like a lot of times when we watch movies and there is that like one color where it's all red or all green, I usually hate it.
He hates it. Yeah,
I hate it, but I feel like in this, there's like the lighting is so good that you see the shadows and you see like the
Yeah.
different like tones. So like you almost make out skin tone even though it's all red. So I think it's just
Hmm.
really effective because even though it is one color, it's not. Like you get the definition, and that's just the
Hmm.
brilliance of the cinematography that you don't see in a lot of movies where it's like I'm just gonna throw a red filter on it, or it's just all gonna be red. They mixed
Yeah.
it up, so there's like other lighting happening too. That it's not just like this one red light. So I think it really works in this movie in a way that I haven't seen work in a lot of films, and I really appreciate it because Jerry, I always comment how I hate that, but I
Yeah,
love it here.
Yeah.
and I'm gonna
I was gonna
say,
sorry.
God,
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say real quick too, to go with what you're saying, Rich, is also like the textures. There's always like depth to the image, even when it is a singular color. Like you said, a lot of shadow. It's still high contrast. There's always like foreground, background, and it's never a blank wall. There's so much texture and wallpaper and like design and everything that really, makes it work and adds a lot of depth. Sorry, Jerry.
yeah, no problem at all. And I'm just gonna kind of trail off of that comment right there. And I think I was trying to think to myself, it's like this film's really old. Once you see it, the reveal. There's really no surprises there. So I was thinking, like, why do you watch this film? Like, why do you watch this film more than once? Why do you watch it again and again? And I think I just kind of came up with like one line that like really resonates with me. And I watched this for the colors, the kills, and the creativity. And that's exactly what keeps bringing you back to this film because you're not going to watch another film and see that. I'm going to go as far to say that, Rob Zombie's film, The Lords of Salem, is kind of like almost, I don't know if it's supposed to be a copy of this or if it's just kind of like a good, really strong nod, but he really tries to do a lot of the same things. I mean, Rudy, you talked about that light bulb. He tries to do, shots through the light bulbs. And Rich mentioned like, the just a monochromatic look of just like one color and things like that. It just doesn't work as well. It's like, it's just not as visually interesting. And I don't know why it works so well in this film. And for me, it kind of, anything at all with the plot flaws, it just goes away because I'm like, I know what's about to happen and it's going to be crazy. And I'm going to be running on that high for a few minutes. And unlike Deep Red, I just thought that the kills in this film, which really makes it a horror film, they're outrageous and they're sensationalized and they're bigger, they're bolder, they're redder, even more than Deep Red. I mean, it's just crazy to me, and I think that's what keeps me coming back to this film. Now, I haven't watched a lot of Argento films more than once or twice, and I probably haven't watched this film as much as you guys, but I definitely hit like, double digits on this one, and I think that's why it's just such an interesting watch. I mean, it's just art, I guess. You're watching something bigger than what you're actually seeing on the screen. I don't know. Maybe I had too many bourbons,
No,
but that's
no,
where I'm at.
I completely agree. I completely agree. It's art, and like I said, it's a vibe, it's a mood.
Yeah, it's a mood. It's
And
definitely,
it's
yeah.
something that, like again, you haven't seen before, and haven't seen in other movies, and even other Argento movies don't do this. Like Inferno, when I was watching, it's really boring, but it's closer to this in look. It's very interesting to look at. The
Mhm.
movie doesn't make a lot of sense, but it looks really beautiful, and there's a lot of just techniques and stuff like that. But yeah, even Argento never did this again, and so it's like just one of those movies that just everything hits and hits for me. And if I had to say like a flaw, I would say there's two flaws that I think are explained somewhat, and one is the movie's dubbed, which is makes it really difficult. Like it's hard to watch sometimes because it's awkward. Like dubbing is always awkward.
Like, the voicing
And
is never right, right?
it's never right, and
It
like
never feel like that's the person's voice. It's like a
no,
ridiculous voice.
yeah, and look, but at this point, like I forget and I don't even pay attention to that, but I could see
Yeah.
someone coming in. But really, it's dubbed, and that's just kind of how they made a lot of these movies, like these Italian movies, was they did it and they recorded sound later, and they so like they were saying like on set they're doing like hammering and stuff in the next room while they're shooting scenes. Actors are speaking in different languages because some of them didn't speak English, so it's all that kind of put together in post, so it does make it a little awkward to me. Like I kind of forget about that at this point, but I could see that being a thing. The other flaw I would say is like the writing in some points is a little silly. And one thing I read that I didn't know was that the original idea Argento had was that the ballet school was supposed to be for girls that were younger than 12. And so he wrote the dialogue for them to be more childish. And the producer, his dad actually was the producer, said that that's not going to work because like it's too violent to have like little kids. So they like said, okay, we'll cast 20-year-olds, but we're keeping the script. So they never updated the dialogue to kind of match how older people would talk, which is a bizarre choice. So there's just some weird scenes that like you're like that's odd, but like you kind of like I kind of just like go with it because it's just a mood. So that's kind of I would say if I had to pick flaws in the movie, it would be that, in my opinion. But to me, I think it's a perfect movie.
Yeah, S is for snakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, but man, I was thinking about that today because I watch a lot of like spaghetti westerns too, Italian westerns, and same because yeah, like you said, they were all dubbed at that point, and that's how you can get a Clint Eastwood in one of those movies, and they're dubbing everything. But for this, man, for me, that aspect of it, and even the dialogue aspect of it is by the time we get into that point, it like doesn't even come across as a flaw to me. Like I already believe it because he establishes so quickly in the first few minutes that we're going into this like alternate. Like I said, as soon as those airport doors open and she walks through, you're like in a completely like an alternate kind of world. So I feel like for me those the dubbing almost adds to it. It gives it a little extra, character in a way.
Makes it
Yeah.
weirder. Just to geek
Yeah,
out
yeah.
on the cinematography and like after that, let's get to like some of the kills and some of the like really
Yeah. Hell
graphic
yeah.
parts. But there's a shot very in the beginning, and it's like you see the school, and then you realize it's a puddle that you're seeing, and she steps in the puddle. It's like the coolest shot. It's
Yeah.
so quick.
What the
It's so
hell?
quick, but I was like, oh, that was really dope. And like I just like there's so like many techniques in this film that like keep it again really interesting. And I think that's why I keep coming back to it. It's that again that the goblin score is just really cool and different and unique and creepy. But you're right, it's like the movie's linear. Like there's nothing like it's not like anything like story wise is like something you haven't seen before. But yeah, it's just such a cool fucking movie. But yeah, speaking about the kills, we talked about the girl like who steps into the room and falls into all this barbed wire.
Yeah, I
And
don't
she's
think we
like
talked about that enough
she's
because like that's
writhing
never
around
happened
for, like,
again. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like the first time I saw this, and like Jerry, you and I might have watched this together for
I
the
think we
first time
did.
way back in the day when we had our website going. And I remember we were just like, "What
What
the
the
fuck?
fuck?
A room of barbed
Like,
wire? Like, why
like
is that here?"
never imagined it. Probably completely unfamiliar with giallo type films and Argento. We might have just heard the name Argento, and it's probably the only film we could find back then. And all of a sudden, you put it on, you're watching it, like this is a weird movie. It's kind of cool, but then that happens, and it's what it is. It's a jaw dropping moment the first time you see it, and I wish I could go back and experience that again to just to feel that because that is like, I mean, for like a horror fan, that is fucked up and absurd. Like you can't imagine that. Like that's not even like a Saw film. Like you can't even come up with something
Yeah.
like that. You know,
And
it's brutal.
and it's her trying to like jump the gap to the
Yeah.
other door, right? And she's like, fuck.
Like
And like you want her to make it, and she's just all right, here we go. And just like it goes right in. It's so rough.
there's so many
I
questions. Why is there a room of barbed wire, Rudy? Why is there a room of barbed wire?
well, the
It's a
fact that
dance school.
yeah, because she doesn't she like open the door and it just is like a drop off
Yeah.
into or like a window, right?
Yeah, it's like a little window
oh, it's so
thing. Like
wild.
why would that be there? Who put that there? Who brought that in? Like everyone's sleeping and like, all right, it's time to bring in the barbed wire, Let's get in that
Yeah.
room. Like that's insane. Like it was like it wasn't even barbed wire. It was like 10 feet high of barbed wire. Like like how'd you get it in? How'd you get it out? How'd they explain that?
And
You know?
apparently the actress got really kind of hurt because they didn't use real barbed wire, but like the wire would like get
Just
all
wire
wrapped
would
around her,
fuck you up,
and she was
yeah.
like all cut up, like because she's writhing around in it for a good
Yeah.
on camera. It's probably 5 minutes long. It's like not quick, It's exaggerated how long. So if it's like 2 minutes of screen time, they probably shot it all day, like the entire day of just kind of getting her. So like I can only imagine what she went through there. But yeah, leading up to that, it's like she's getting chased basically through this house, and you see all these like secret rooms and shit. And she ends up in this one room, and she locks the door, and it's like a latch door. And then you see like a straight razor kind of poke through,
Mm.
which is again very like a nod to like the giallo movies, right? Where and then it's like the razor is trying to like open the lock, and it goes on for like a really long time, but it's so I don't know. To me, it's just like it's so tense. I'm like, when is he gonna open? Or I don't think you find out if it's a male or female, but like, when are they gonna open this lock? And like, what's gonna happen? To me, it just like really, I don't know. It just gets me. Like, normally things like that would annoy me, where it's like, all right, let's move it, but it just I don't know. For me, it works, man.
Yeah. And there's only what, three kills in the movie, right? Or I guess four
I
plus
It's
if
not
you
think
a
count the
there's.
not
I
a
the
wrote it
huge
ending,
down.
right?
amount, but
If you don't count the witches, I believe there's
what the
four.
there's four
Four?
witches, and then
Because there's the two in the beginning.
there's five
Oh,
Then
that's
there's
right.
kills,
There's
I
four.
think.
That's
Sarah.
right.
There's
That's
five. There's
right.
5 kills in this, and then the witches. So I think 9 total if you count them.
Right, right.
But I mean, those five, if you were to like kind of set them alone and made a film just about each one of those, are incredible because they were crazy. I mean, again, let's just go back to like the first kill where it's like that close up and they're like stabbing a heart. You're like, what am I watching right now? It's like like it was brutal enough. And then they're like, yeah, let's get the camera inside the body.
Just
Let's really get in there and see what's happening with this blade. And you're just like, this is gross, but I never seen anything like this before. And it was horrific. Oh
And
man.
that's not enough. It's like she got stabbed multiple times in the heart.
Yeah.
Then like they wrap like a fucking cord or something around her neck, throw her through a plate glass window, like
Yeah.
hang her, and then the glass on the window just happens to like fall in someone's face and kill them. Which again, like logistically, that whole opening scene doesn't make any sense because like what like she's here, like the woman's like upstairs, kind of like, and then she's down. Like it didn't make any sense, but like it doesn't matter. Like it's just so cool
Yeah,
that like
I
it
didn't care.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't give a shit. Yeah,
E-
like
Yeah, even the shot when she's like looking out the window and the eyes glow and then the arm comes through and when it's
Yeah.
like pressing
Oh.
her against the glass and it's one of those moments where I can see people kind of like laughing at it a little bit, but just I don't know, I never would have thought of like a part of the horror, being or the brutality is like I'm gonna press this person's face through glass so hard it just breaks through it, and that amazing shot too, like after she gets wrapped up and they're on the ceiling and her head breaks through the glass first. So it's like this uplight coming. I
ah.
posted on Instagram yesterday and like the uplight coming through before she like falls through and because and then he also wraps the cord around like her stomach and you see it's really quick, but when she lands and the cord like runs its way up the body to the neck and like yeah, it's just such a wild scene.
Yeah, it's so extra and so gnarly, but
So
it sets the tone. It really sets the tone for the movie, and you're like, okay, I'm in. Like, all they could do is
yeah,
fuck it
yeah.
up after this. Like, because like I'm already like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a throwaway was definitely Daniel with the dog. It is pretty
Mm.
horrific to get killed by a dog, but it just didn't really fit. I don't think it fit like everything that was happening in this film. It seemed like a bit of a banana peel, a bit of a throwaway. That's like, oh, how are we gonna kill this guy? Oh, I know his dog. I just like when you saw the previous. And then the post kills to that one, you're like, why was a dog like the weapon? I didn't care for that one. Was it brutal? Absolutely, but I just didn't care for that one.
Yeah, I actually I do disagree, and I like it for two reasons. One is I like the fact that it just showed that you can't get away. Like they're gonna get you outside of the school.
Okay.
And I like the fact that like this dog is like his protector, basically. Like he's a seeing eye dog, right? And they're able to like turn that against you. It just kind of and it kind of comes back in the end. And not to like we're gonna spoil it. This movie's really old. Like they kill Sarah and they bring her back to kill
Yeah,
her
yeah,
friend. So it's
yeah.
like it's just kind of like summing up that they could turn your best friend against you. And I kind of like that. I mean, also it is brutal having a dog like just destroy you. Like that's like I'll be honest, like I don't want to get killed by an animal. Like to me, that seems like one of the most horrific ways to die is by an animal like tearing me to pieces and eating me, especially my own animal. And I think that I have a cat, and I know if I happen to like fall down and don't feed him right away, like he's
You're
gonna eat
done.
me, you know. So like I don't want to go that way. I don't want my cat to, like, you know. So for me,
You're
that seems
definitely
like
going that way. That's
and it's funny.
exactly how you're going.
My cat literally just walked in the
Done.
room and is looking at me
He's
right
like-
now, and like he's like,
licking
"Yeah,
lips."
motherfucker."
Yeah, pass out, bitch.
Yeah. He's like, "I will turn on you if you don't get my chicken right away." So yeah. So I actually did like that kill, although I get what you're saying. That
I just
it's not
think-
like elaborate, but
It didn't
I liked
translate on film. Yes, I'm saying it is definitely brutal. I just don't think the way it translated was on par with the other ones. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is like why it may
I think
might
just
not
like
translate. It looks a little fake at points. Like when the dog is like nailing, biting on his neck. It's a fake dog, obviously, so it does look a little fake, especially if you watch it in like HD now. Like it doesn't look as great, but that's my opinion. I actually like that kill. Sorry, Rudy, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I think also like the aesthetic of it too, the tone, and you brought this up earlier, like that whole scene where, because that's a point where it almost feels as if we've transitioned into the real world, so to speak. We don't have the crazy colors, so it feels very di and also being exterior and more dark and almost kind of natural looking. It feels almost like it would be from Deep Red, like a different movie,
Yeah. Good point.
aesthetically, but. Yeah. And I mean, man, it just yeah, it's hard to top that opening kill. Just that whole sequence. Like yeah, you set the bar real high when you start the movie with something like that. Like
I'm saying they topped it.
I
I'm
was
saying they
gonna
topped it with the barbed wire. I think
oh
if you're gonna do one
yeah, yeah.
thing, if you're gonna be like, how do we compete with that? I think they did, because that was definitely something that I never expected or saw again in another film. So I've seen people get bit by dogs
Yeah.
and eaten by animals, but I never saw that. So I'm gonna say they topped
Yeah.
it.
But yeah, and the movie does kind of wrap up kind of nicely, right? Where it's like again, like all hell's breaking loose, and she just happens to be able to kill like the most powerful witch in the world, which it is what it is. But like I'm by that point I'm sold. I
Yeah.
love this movie. Like it's over for me. So yeah, so let's wrap this one up because I think I'm starting to get a little buzzed and I don't know what I'm saying anymore. So we'll start with Rudy. Rudy, why don't you give your
Listen, why don't
rating
we just dub it in, Rich, and you'll just say all the right things. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
But use
So-
a different voice.
So Rudy, okay, Clint Eastwood. So Rudy, why don't you give your rating? Jerry and I will drink, and then Jerry and I will give our ratings. We'll all drink together to close this one out.
I'm gonna give this one 4.
Mm,
Nice.
Mhm.
That's
strong,
respectable. I
strong.
will drink the 4 sips right now.
Mm.
I'm going to give this movie a rating I don't give very often, but I have given it before. I'm giving it 5 because to me, it is a perfect movie. I've watched it
Wow.
over 20 times. I watch it multiple times a year. I love it every time I discover something new about it. And again, the few things I listed as flaws aside, like that they don't take away from my enjoyment of this movie. So I'm giving it a 5. Jerry, how about you?
Wow, that's crazy. So me and Rudy are gonna be drinking the maximum, which is rough, but I'm not gonna be that far off of it. I don't think a film has to stick the landing to be a great film, and they didn't. It does
Right.
wrap up kind of weird. It does wrap up kind of quick. It's like, all right, we're out of money or out of time, whatever the situation was, like cut, movie's over. It was a little odd. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't change everything I saw for like, the hour and a half before. So I really like this film. I'm going to give this a fairly high rating too, but I'm not giving it a 5. I'm going to give this one a 4. So I'm going to agree with Rudy before. I'm going to give this one a 4. I really like this film. I'm probably going to keep watching it for the rest of my life. So
All right,
it's a
cool.
great film.
I drink 4, y'all drink 5, and
Yep.
cheers to that.
Cheers. Woo. Well, he's pouring again, and he got to re up on that one to get that. Woo.
Yeah, I know you said your podcasts sometimes are one drink. We definitely
Yeah.
we definitely don't do that here.
Oh man.
It's a minimum 3 drinks on this show. Sometimes it gets a little crazy. So so Rudy, I actually didn't we talked about your podcast, drinks and a movie. Where can we find y'all on social? Like, how do people enjoy the podcast? Like, give us your chance to this is your chance to plug.
Yeah, the podcast is pretty much everywhere you podcast, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and basically anywhere else. Also on YouTube. The Instagram is where I'm most active. That's drinks underscore and or a underscore movie. So you can find me there, kind of posting stuff. And yeah, I don't do video episodes often. I'll only do videos if I'm doing some kind of, sometimes I'll do whiskey content where I'm doing blind tastings, and if I get a special guest on, then I'll do a video. In relation to like horror films, I've had on Elliot Rocket, the cinematographer behind a lot of Ty West movies, including X Pearl and Maxine.
Hell yeah.
I had on Alec Gillis several months ago, who is a creature effects designer. He did like Tremors and Aliens and Predator and all kinds of crazy movies and music video. So every once in a while I get those folks on as well. But,
And you had like 2 of the most sought after podcast hosts ever in the Horror Heads on recently. Yeah, so definitely check that out. So Rudy, what's next? Like, what's your next episode that you're planning?
The next one that's going to come out is either going to be Jumanji or Toy Story. I'm doing another kind of series 2025. So I've got a list of quite a few that I'm trying to bang out with some friends. So those are the 2 that are coming up next. I've already done a couple other ones like Heavyweights. If you've seen that,
nice. Yeah.
GoldenEye. I did that. That was also part of my Bond series. But yeah, so that's what I've got next. I'm also working on. I'm not gonna give any details because it might not happen, but I am working on getting another kind of special guest in the horror, kind of special effects category. So hopefully that will work out, and then that'll, if it happens, then it'll roll out in the next couple months. But, we'll see. Still working on that.
All right, well, check it out. Drinks and a Movie. Very cool podcast. And again, anyone who's out there drinking and watching movies, we are down to chill with. So you could follow us on Instagram at horrorheadspodcast or email us at horrorheadspodcast@gmail.com. Rudy, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Always fun to kind of hang with you. And thanks for giving us some new bourbon to try. Again, Drinks and a Movie podcast. Check it out. Typically releases episodes on Mondays, although, you never know when you're going to get one. So next up, let's see. The next episode, I think Jerry and I were going to talk about some of our favorite 80s horror films, so that should be fun. I haven't chosen mine yet, but I believe I will probably need to do that so we could watch some movies, and that's really it. So why don't we kind of cheers one more time, and I will go pass out because I am a little wasted right now. All right, cheers
everybody.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
109 proof.
Damn. Yeah, and I'm feeling it. You know what, Rudy? At the very beginning, you're like, "I'm sorry I didn't give you more," and thank God you didn't give me more, because otherwise this would have went off the rails very quickly. So thank you for just giving me just enough, just to kind of keep me somewhat coherent. Although, let the viewers,
it's faded. It's faded quick.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go. All right, that's it. Good night.